Hi there, and welcome to Theology Thursday. This is the greatest book ever written. This is the Holy Bible, and we've been commanded to read it. We've been commanded to memorize it. Your word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against you. We're told to bind it on our arms and between our forehead. We're told to teach it to our children when we rise up and we lay down, we walk in the way. We're told to know it and to memorize it. All right, let's be honest. Reading the Bible and memorizing it, it takes some work, but it's not that difficult. You can do it. Many of you probably know more verses than you think you know, or at least parts of verses. But the most difficult thing when it comes to the Bible is probably to study it. Paul told Timothy, study to show yourself approved, a workman unto God, right dividing word of truth, not ashamed, and all that sort of stuff. And so we're told to study, to be diligent in the Word. So you can read it, you can memorize it, but my goodness, how in the world do you study it? So let's just talk about a few basics for Bible study. Okay? And let's start with the first one, and that is, what Bible should I get? There's a whole spectrum of Bibles, and I think a year or two ago I did a Theology Thursday on Bible translations. So if you want, you can always go back and find that and watch that, where I talk about the different ways that Bible translations are done. But for Bible study, you should pick a good translation, not one that's necessarily really easy to read, because the more accurate it is, the more difficult it is to read. So translators try to balance those two things out between accuracy and ease of reading. So the New King James, the New American Standard, the English Standard Version, that's the one that I use, the English Standard Version. Those are all good translations to actually do Bible study out of. The Holman Christian Standard Bible, or they've shortened the name to the Christian Standard Bible, is another good one that you can use just for study. So pick one that you want to use as your translation, and then that's the one you're going to use to study from. However, it's always good to have some others. Now, in the old days, that meant that you had to go out and spend money to buy several Bibles, but that's just not true anymore. Now you can hop right on the internet and you can look up different translations for whatever passage you're working from. And so you can compare those translations and see how different translations. And at this point, you would want to use maybe 4 or 5. Use the New International Version. Even use something like the Message or the Good News Bible, which are not translations. They're just kind of freehand. This is sort of the basic idea of what we find in the Bible. And there's a place for that. There's no different than a children's Bible. That's not a translation, but just kind of tells the story of Daniel in the lion's den, or Joseph in the coat of many colors, or whatever it is. And so you have the one translation you're studying from, but you can kind of compare some of those others and see the way they're translated. And sometimes that brings a little deeper perspective. So that's always the first place to start, unless you can actually read Hebrew and Greek, which very few people do. The best place to start, look at some other translations and just kind of compare them and to see if that helps you to understand. Now, I know a lot of people like to buy a study Bible, and there are lots of them. A Ryrie Study Bible. David Jeremiah has a study Bible. There's the Ryrie Study Bible. One of the first ones was the Geneva Bible, which had study notes in it. There's the NIV Study Bible. There's the ESV Study Bible. There's Dake Study Bible. I'm probably missing about 15 of them at this point. I don't know if I said the MacArthur Study Bible. And that's one that has the Bible text at the top and then notes at the bottom. Those can be very helpful, very, very helpful. But we always have to remember, the notes at the bottom are written by human beings. We have limited understanding. At this point, we have limited knowledge. So if you have a study Bible from, say, it was printed in, say, 1975, that's great. But archaeological discoveries, further research, better understanding of historical situations, and things like that make some of the material outdated. And so we're always learning more. So you want to get a newer one if you're going to get a study Bible. And remember that the notes are not always correct. I use a study Bible. I use a MacArthur Study Bible. And that's fine. But the reality is there are some places that I disagree with the footnotes, which is fine. So don't don't just take just those footnotes and go, oh, well, that's what it means. We don't want to trust just a group of people that have written it. The more information we can bring in, the better. And the reality is, studying on your own helps you understand it better, helps you hone your skills better, and I think helps you to remember it better than just reading notes about what someone else said. So what do we need then if we're going to study the Bible on our own? Let's say we don't have a study Bible, and we just want to study the Bible itself ourselves. Well, the reality is you only need 3 good tools to do most Bible study. Those 3 tools are a concordance, an atlas, and a Bible dictionary. With those 3 tools, you can learn about anything that you really want or need with the Bible. Now, you can still buy a concordance, but I wouldn't do that. You can actually, a lot of times, go online and pull up an online concordance. And what that does, it shows you every place that word occurs. Now, a good concordance will have every place the word occurs and will give you like a Strong's concordance will give you a number for the Greek word. So you can see, okay, that Greek word's in the verse I'm looking at. Where are the other places that occurs? But you can see like every place the word love occurs. I wouldn't probably try to search for God because 7,000 hits are really difficult to work through. But sometimes you go, oh, wow, that word clean, about 2 out of 3 occur in the book of Leviticus. And since Leviticus is about, sacrifice and ritual and all that, that's something about being ritually clean, not go take a shower. So a concordance will help you see the distribution of words. And now with search engines, you can even search a phrase. For example, if you search the Holy One of Israel, you discover that only occurs in the book of Isaiah, nowhere else in the Old Testament. Well, that says something right there, doesn't it? That this is a phrase unique to Isaiah. So concordance is a great tool for just seeing how many times words occur and where they occur. And you start to see, wow, the Apostle John uses this word a lot, but Matthew doesn't. Those kind of sorts of things that you can do. And you can even set up parameters, like I want to know how many times this word occurs in the books of Moses, Genesis through Deuteronomy or whatever. So a concordance is a great tool, and a good concordance, like I said, will even tell you here's like the Greek word, and sometimes that might, or Hebrew word, and that may or may not be helpful to you. The second tool is a good Bible atlas. If you're trying to read through the book of Acts, it gets real confusing if you don't know where Caesarea is and where Tarsus is and where in the world is Paul going when he's going to Damascus. And if you're reading Revelation and there's these different churches, where are they? And you discover, they're on a mail route. Or where in the world is Ephesus? Where's Corinth? It's just helpful, and that's just like the New Testament. And of course, the Old Testament, you've got all kinds of nations. Where is Egypt in relation? The Old Testament talks a lot about Babylon and Assyria, and we have Ammonites and Moabites and Edomites and Philistines, and we have Damascus, which is the capital of Syria, and we have Tyre and Sidon, which was the capital of Phoenicia, and we have the Phoenicians. And so there are all these nations that are always being mentioned, and boy, having an atlas is helpful. Or not just nations, but particularly in the Old Testament, where there are lots of cities. Like, where is the city of Jerusalem? How far is it from Jerusalem down to Jericho when Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan? Jesus was in Galilee. Where is that? Where's Capernaum, where Jesus was kind of headquartered when he was in Galilee? How far is it from Jerusalem to Bethel, where Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead? We discover, man, it's just like around the corner. There's a reason why Jesus did that miracle close. He wanted to stir up controversy. He wanted to show his power, but also to stir up controversy because he was about time to be crucified. Well, if you do that 50 miles away and it takes 2 days by foot, there aren't going to be nearly as many people that hear about it in Jerusalem. When you do it right around the corner, a couple miles away, oh wow, now the religious leaders can come out and they can get there in about an hour by walking. So an atlas is very, very, very helpful in just kind of seeing where these places are and distances and some things like that. And then the third thing that's helpful is a Bible dictionary or Bible encyclopedia. Unfortunately, we think of it as a dictionary as one volume, encyclopedia is multi-volume. Bible publishers don't do that. Sometimes an encyclopedia is one volume, sometimes the dictionary is multiple volumes. I've got a Bible dictionary, it's about 12 volumes. It's just called a Bible dictionary. So ignore the word dictionary, encyclopedia. There's no difference when it comes to these kind of this resource, but get a good one. There's some really good one volume. The New Bible Dictionary is really good. Zondervan makes a multi-volume Bible encyclopedia, and then they make a kind of a smaller one volume version. There's some that are very expensive multi-volume. I wouldn't recommend that unless you are a professor or a pastor or someone along that line, because for most people it's not necessary. Now here's the cool thing about a Bible dictionary. So you're reading through the Bible, and it mentions Capernaum. So you can look in a concordance and see how many times the word occurs, but you'd look in a Bible atlas, oh, that's where Capernaum is. Then you can look in your Bible dictionary, and there'll be an article that will explain about Capernaum. Capernaum is where Peter was from. Capernaum sits right on the north end of the Sea of Galilee. It was a hub for fishing. That would be why Jesus said, "Come follow me, I'll make you fishers of men." So it'll tell you just kind of and some about the archaeology, and if it's like a one-volume Bible dictionary, the length of the article will be enough for you to grasp what's going on and some of the significance in the background. So those are the three tools: a concordance, a Bible atlas, and a Bible dictionary. Now, if you'd like, you can actually go and do it electronically. So this is Logos, and it is a very complicated Bible software if you want it to be. For example, here's my layout that I use when I'm working on a sermon. So I have English text, I've got Hebrew text, I've got a bunch of Hebrew lexicons up here, and then I've got all kinds of commentaries down here. But that's probably not what most people would want. What most people would want is to be able to, for example, pull up the Bible, and here's the English Standard, and you can actually just scroll through different translations. And so you can look at those. This one comes with, yes, a fact book, which is like a Bible encyclopedia. It comes also with an atlas. I can look things up. And so this is called Logos Bible Software. The really cool thing with Logos is that you can get it for free. Now, it's just a basic version with some just simple basic tools, but you can get it for free. And if I was you, I would never go out and buy a Bible dictionary or a Bible atlas. To buy a good Bible dictionary and a good atlas is probably going to run you $100 or more. And for that same $100, you can get a larger library with several Bible translations and some other tools from Logos. And you can put it on your phone, your tablet, your computer. Everyone in your household can use your account. So your spouse and your children, as long as they live in the same house, can use that account. I'm not a salesman for Logos. This is what I use. There's another company called Accordance that also makes great Bible software, which I also own and use sometimes. And it's the pricing point there is about the same. But for an investment, really, of even just a couple $100, man, you can get a lot of good tools to help you study the Bible. So I want to encourage you, first of all, do what I said at the beginning: read the Bible and memorize it. But I also want you to study it, so that when you read it, you don't just read about Paul going into the city. Why is Artemis such a big deal? Why are the silver merchants so upset? Those kind of things. And so a good Bible dictionary will give you some of that information. You can see how these cities relate and where Paul was going, or you can see where the cities that Jesus was going to. When he mentions, somebody from Tyre and Sidon, how far away was it? How far did they come? How far did they have to go when they were walked as slaves all the way to Babylon? How far is that? Those kind of things. And so I would encourage you, again, I would encourage you to get some good Bible software. But even if not, you can use the internet for concordance mostly, but a good Bible dictionary, a good Bible atlas. The last thing I want to do is just warn you. Don't think I'll take the cheap route and I'll just do Google and I'll Google it. Because if you Google like Capernaum, you might hit a good website or you might not. And then you start saying things or asking me questions or someone questions, and they're looking like, that's not right. So there are a lot of charlatans on the internet. So using good reputable sources, publishing companies like Zondervan and Baker and Puritan Reformed, and some of those would be the way to go. So I hope this encourages you to study, and encourage you to get just a few good basic tools to do good, solid Bible study. So God bless you, and I hope you enjoy digging deep into God's Word.